Hello. Today we are delighted to have a chat with Peter Elungat. Peter is one of Kenya's most famous artists, and he's definitely Kenya's best-selling artist. Peter's work has crossed all ethnic and racial boundaries, and he has collectors from as far as Canada, Australia, UK, as well as here in Kenya. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much.
Perhaps you can start by telling us where you're from, what inspires you, and how did you get into art?
I was born in 1978,
And
8th of December, in Teso, Busia County.
what inspired you into getting into art?
Yes, I used to watch and admire my eldest brother, Jose Autulia, do his paintings. And I really used to love what he used to do. And second born, I would say, is Pia, who would also do calligraphy, and he was so good at it, and I used to really admire them and copy what they used to do. I don't remember stopping anywhere along the way, so I just went on, and it became part of my system.
Now, I'm one of the collectors. I have your works, and I've seen your work change over the years. You started painting on pretty small canvases when you first began, and now your works are on huge canvases. When you walk into an art gallery, they are some of the largest works of art. Perhaps you can explain to us or tell us this transition, this journey that you've been on?
Yes, very interesting. This journey started actually doing very tiny pieces, going to Kuona Trust in 97 late. And I used to do A4 size of paintings, mostly sunset and sunrise. They usually used to be an image at the end, at the horizon. And I remember that time I used to involve a lot of events on the piece of canvas, sometimes on paper, women's activities, breastfeeding, and general activities, I would say, homestead, rural activities. And then things started dropping one after the other. I remember the number of trees started reducing, and then there remained one tree. And then the tree started losing branches. It eventually dried up. The dry branches started dropping off. During that journey, still, this, mostly a woman, she was not so close, but far away in a distance. Sometimes she would be seen flying, many times flying actually. That brings the memory to me, which occasionally happens, having dreams of flight. Amazing. An experience of absolute freedom, caring about nothing except breathing. And then I remember this lady making music, sometimes with the chameleon, sometimes butterflies around, sometimes with birds or a bird. There used to be one bird that was really dominant in relating with her. This bird would carry this woman on her back or on its back, traveling across the rivers, across the oceans, mountains, still carrying this person on its back. When I look back now, it's like that was my guardian angel carrying me. I'm just using a woman figure as a representative of my feelings. There's a lot I do to express myself, especially on clothing, that I find it very interesting to use the figure of a woman as compared to the man. Though occasionally I've also done figures of men, like notably Saint Sebastian. I've done the naked Jesus on the cross, and yes, among others. And sometimes this lady also met a man, and they would play music on a plain rock with no vegetation seen anywhere. That is the time the trees had disappeared. They had reduced in number, and then there was left one, and then it dried and eventually disappeared. So this person was literally walking on rock, mostly appearing during sunsets and sunrises. And I remember even the ground eventually disappeared. There was nothing to express like this is the sky or this is the ground. Suspended, floating. That was my experience. It was a spiritual journey, which it is still a spiritual journey for me. It is, to me, the mirror that I used to look at myself through the canvas. Then why did it happen that the paintings used to be so small and eventually they blew up in size? This lady had a very long neck and very tiny hands. Sometimes I do make tiny hands. Sometimes I make large hands. Large hands to me is an expression of generosity. There is abundance. And tiny hands is majorly beauty for me. I thought this lady, because of having such a long neck, extraordinarily long, and very long hair, sometimes you'd go for long hair competition, the neck was symbolic to so much wisdom, such that if she stood in the midst of so many people, she's able to see farther or farthest than every one of them around. So it is basically a symbol of wisdom. And then her patterns were, I can't really call them African patterns, but just patterns, circles, zigzags, and her clothing was kind of flat. There was no light and shade.
Yeah, like you say, your work, it has a very spiritual essence. It started off with many women, then they became one. Started off with a forest, then it became one. Then this one tree, the leaves fell off. Then the lady started interacting with butterflies, and the earth went away and she's floating. Because it's of the spiritual essence of the spiritual journey, does this reflect periods of your life as you have moved with this lady through your paintings? Does it reflect what you have been going through spiritually?
Thank you so much, Rose, for that question, because it brings something very vital to my journey. It's like when I was having everything, every tree, every flower, every chicken around, and every other person's activities represented, I was just in the crowd, and bringing things to narrow them down to an individual point is like getting to a self-realization, knowing who I am. I'm still learning. It's a journey.
Peter, you haven't had any formal artistic training, have you, apart from your time at Kuona Trust Art Studio? Yet your work has a very medieval quality to it. It resonates with the Renaissance painters, European painters, as opposed to African painters. How do you explain this? Where did you get that influence in your work?
Okay, first mentioning Kuona Trust. I got Mzee Francis Kahuri doing a workshop for printmaking, and the first person to welcome me to the studio was an amazing and currently very active artist, Patrick Mukabi, notably known as Panye. He guided me you are too busy. I think, yes, he contributed a lot to my work. It was like, my palette was nearly everything, and he taught me to do the stretching of painting canvas. And I didn't know how to prepare canvas that time. So it was just getting paint straight onto canvas without treating it. It was just an amazing experience, and seeing artists that I'd never seen physically. I was only seeing them on newspapers, like Daily Nation used to put articles on artists every Friday. And it was just amazing to meet these people, Richard Kimotho and Patrick Mukabi, and then eventually meeting Jaka Tarikawe, visiting the studio was just amazing. So when it comes to the style aspect, like more leaning to the medieval, I was affected the first time I opened these art books in the gallery. And within me, I felt like, oh my God, this is home. Seeing the works of Rembrandt, Caravaggio was just phenomenal. And that is why maybe the browns really affected me, and I got into browns and sap green. Lately, I'm realizing, okay, that time, the influence was just so much that others were nicknaming me like Rembrandt. And I love the tones of browns and the light and dark, light and dark effects. So light appearing in a very small spot of the painting. Along the way, you realize that sometimes there's so much light on my paintings, and sometimes I still go back to the opposite. So the subject is the only one that has the light, but constantly there is light.
It appeals to a cross section of people. I know you have a lot of collectors from Kenya and from other parts of the world. Now tell me, you have come, a little boy in Teso painting after his brother's influence. You have exhibited across the world. You've exhibited in Spain, in Madrid. Maybe you can tell us about that experience and your experience interacting with international artists from other parts of the world.
Going to Madrid was, it's like my spirit had projected itself to the place before I went there subconsciously. I did a painting with colors that were really expressing a lot of cold weather. This lady was holding something like a potato flying in the air, and I could see the rooftops down there. And the potato was symbolic to part of the proceeds of the sales, a percentage of it, which the artist was to decide was going to support others that needed the support. Many people need support, but there was a specific goal for this. Mostly women in homes in South Africa. The exhibition was organized by Kobo Safaris, Chairman Gabi. And reaching there, I got the experience, and I felt like, okay, I will say this, I really was happy to be in Madrid. My experience in the exhibition, and seeing people out there, you'd ask somebody, I'm looking for direction to this place, and they would really take time. And let me talk physically speaking. I saw the people in Madrid, and specifically the women, look like the Luias in Western Kenya. The thing is, I just had an experience of another part of the planet. Same people, different cultures. It was good. Climate, actually, or maybe the weather that time, climate, it was very cold, just like the painting I did before I traveled.
So you had a connection with them, with the Spaniards, so to say. But maybe you can tell us about what you're working on currently. I can see paintings behind you. Is that what you're working on currently? The same lady? And you can tell us about the painting and the painting behind that as well, please.
Just like my paintings, some of them are conceived earlier, and others that are conceived later are born before them. I hope you understand that.
Yeah.
This piece
Yeah.
is I still feel like touching it.
Touch it,
It's
yes. Yeah.
almost about 6 months old. The background is red and flowers. These flowers are actually a palette that I work on. I call it the sensual woman, touching her nipples. Currently, the painting I'm working on is, you can see it's all entirely brown. It is just one color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And who is
just lying there.
yes?
Yeah.
And what is the lady doing on the painting? What does it reflect? What does it mean to you and to the?
This one, I call it rested.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from painting, what I do currently is a form of art to do with plants. There is a lot of therapy this is my experience. When I prune plants, it gives me the same therapy as painting. When I paint, I have therapy. It gives me a resting effect. Like the time you are actually working on the painting is the time you are actually resting.
Do you work on several paintings at the same time, or do you work on one until you finish it? And how many months does that take you, or weeks, or days? How long does it take you to complete a painting?
I work on different paintings, several paintings simultaneously. Some paintings take longer. Some I paint them and pack them. Maybe they may stay for a year or more without touching on it, because I still feel like it's something that this painting needs, but when am I going to touch it? I don't know. And then other paintings, it's like they just pop up. In 3 days, it's done. Can't really put a straight line to say one painting a week, one painting in 2 months or 6 months.
You are one of Kenya's best-selling artists. This is not the case with other artists. They're struggling artists to live on. Is this a profession that artists can live on, or what advice would you give them? Are there bodies that support artists and help them to earn a living from their work?
The bottom line is, I really am grateful to God that I'm one of the top selling artists, and sometimes people come with questions like, can I take this as a career? I think if you come because you are looking for a career in an opinion of, will I make money? It is a very difficult question, because if you can't do without doing this, then do it. If you really love it, the bottom line is, do what you really love. Don't do what people say has money. And when you do what you really love, there is the way nature has to reward you, God. It will work.
So it's passion. It is passion for art. That is the first requirement. Is that your advice to young artists? There must be many young artists in Teso wanting to break through and be like you, and all over, even in Nairobi. What advice would you give them? And how do they get in touch with you to to have discussions and interactions with you?
Yes, young artists, I tell you, keep punching the bag. Yes, you will make it. Trust God, you will make it. Yeah, for you to get me, my studio is in Kitengela, and my name is Peter Elungat on Facebook. I just use this same name on Facebook. You can reach me, friend request me. I am available. You are welcome. Come and share with me your views. You also come and teach me. I'm open to learning. Learn and as well teach.
I know, Peter. Well, thank you. I know you are an inspiration to very many artists and many people who love art. But you have other interests. I know you do sing. You sing classical music. You like classical music. Can you tell us, how did you develop an interest in classical music? It's very unusual for a small boy from Teso to be a beautiful classical singer, tenor.
Yes. I think music also, some artists have affected me musically without knowing because of the music they collected. I will notably mention Richard Kimotho. I shared a next studio with Kimotho. His was next door at the Elungat Center. This guy used to have very strange collection of music, like the Mahalia Jackson. There was a time I was really obsessed with Mahalia Jackson. I started painting her. I did several portraits of her. Then I started the quest of really collecting more and more music, different from the music I'm used to around. And then I think through intuition, I was able to look at a music cover of an album and feel like, I think this guy might be singing something that resonates with me. And then there was Pavarotti. That just overwhelmed me so much. And I felt like, yes, because I used to love hymns and then try to sing along with Mahalia Jackson's voice. And I thought, why can't I sing this? So I didn't know that somebody can learn voice. So I knew, wow, I'm just trying, and these people are so talented. And then I happened to meet two people spoke things to me. This is very important to you artists. One person said, Elungat, just stick to your painting, forget about singing. Somebody told me, you have a good voice, but you need to learn how to sing. And I chose to take learning. Things just happened. When I moved to Kobo Safaris, and I just started singing, right at the corner of the big studio space, there was a lady seated there on a bench, and she said, wow, I can teach you how to sing. I was like, oh my God, just at the right time. And that is Clara. And we started lessons with Clara, and then went to YouTube, and then, yes, I would get lessons and just doing it. And I love it. And it is just, learning it is not a one-day affair. It is a daily affair. Just like painting, the more you paint, the more you sculpt, the more you draw, the better you become. So you can't say, yes, I learned with Clara, now I sit down. That is how music got into my system.
Now, where is your next exhibition? Because I know you do sing at your exhibitions. Because I know a lot of Kenyans would love to hear you sing. Can they hear this music on YouTube, or when is the next exhibition, so they can also see your paintings, buy your paintings, collect your paintings, and also hear you sing?
Oh dear, that is sweet. It's always a beautiful experience to sing before an audience. Many of the audiences that I've had is actually one audience of a person. It is so powerful when you really have one-on-one conversation. I'm not saying I don't want to sing to many people, which I've done, but it is so beautiful to have a handful of people. I've had people come to my studio, and then when they leave, I tell them, like, excuse me, I have a gift for you. So maybe for those who thought that I want to give them a painting, sorry, but I sang, and it is such a bonding power, music. My next exhibition, usually I do not plan for an exhibition. I paint, have enough collection, and then say, I'm looking for an exhibition. But probably, I think I'm going to have an exhibition in Kenya.
Okay, good. Well, in Kitengela, where can one find you? But now that the lockdown has been eased, a lot of people may want to come and see you and see your paintings in Kitengela. How exactly do we find your studio?
My pin is Amani Drive, Kitengela, and maybe you can contact me on this number. 080 0722 593 941. And you are welcome. I also serve roasted turkey and rosemary tea.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, we'll definitely come and pay you a visit. Thank you very much, Peter. It's been a delight talking to you. It's been fascinating seeing your work, and we'll definitely talk to you again. Thank you for being an inspiration to Kenyans.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.